The battle at Qesem lasted 9 hours. When it ended, General Amenken was the only officer still breathing. He lay under the wreckage of his own chariot with a broken spear through his left shoulder and the bodies of his charioteer and shield-bearer draped across his legs. The sand beneath him was warm and wet. The vultures were already landing. He should have died there. Any sensible man would have. The army was destroyed. The campaign was over, and Pharaoh Meremta would not be sending reinforcements to a general who had lost 1,200 men in a single engagement against Libyan raiders who outnumbered him 3-1. But Amenken was not sensible. He was furious. He had begged the pharaoh for more men. 3 times he had sent messengers to Thebes explaining that the Libyan force was larger than the scouts reported, that the border garrison was undermanned, that without reinforcements, the engagement would be a slaughter. 3 times the pharaoh's response came back the same. The gods favor Egypt. Hold your position. The gods. Amenken spat blood onto the sand. The gods had not held a Kopesh at Qesem. The gods had not watched boys of 15 cut down by Libyan cavalry because the pharaoh believed divine favor was a substitute for adequate numbers. He walked for 2 days. No water, no food. The shoulder wound festered in the heat. His vision blurred. The desert stretched in every direction, gold and merciless. And Amenken walked because stopping meant thinking about 1,200 men who died because a pharaoh trusted prayer over preparation. On the second night, the air changed. The smell hit first, ozone and copper, sharp as a blade across the back of his throat. Then the shadow, not darkness, because the stars were still visible at the edges of the sky, a concentrated absence of light, shaped roughly like a man, standing on the dune above him. Red eyes opened in the shadow. "You're angry." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, calm, almost amused. "Good. Anger is the only honest emotion." Amenken should have been terrified. A god standing before him. The god of chaos, the murderer of Osiris, the enemy of everything the pharaoh claimed to represent. Every temple in Egypt warned against this moment. Instead, Amenken said, "You're late." Set laughed. The sound made the dune crack. "Ra's order killed your men," Set said. The pharaoh prayed and Ra answered with silence, and 1,200 soldiers paid the price. That is how order works. It takes and calls the taking sacred. What do you want? The same thing you want. To prove that the system is broken, that Ra's precious balance is a lie told by gods who are too comfortable to look at what it costs. Set did not offer an army. He did not promise revenge. He offered something worse, clarity. He showed Amenken the truth, not Set's version, the actual truth. He pulled back the veil between the mortal world and the divine. And for one instant, Amenken saw what the gods saw when they looked at Egypt. Amenken saw the cost. Every prayer answered was a transaction. Every harvest blessed was a debt collected. The order that Ra maintained was not benevolence. It was infrastructure, and the humans inside it were not subjects. They were components. "You see it now," Set said. "The question is what you do with it." What Amenken did was march south, not to Thebes, not to the pharaoh, to the border forts along the Nubian frontier, where the soldiers were underpaid, undertrained, and deeply resentful of a court that treated them as expendable. He recruited 30 men from the first fort, 50 from the second. By the time he reached the third, his reputation preceded him. The general who survived Qesem, the general the pharaoh abandoned, the general who walked into the desert and came back with fire in his eyes. He did not tell them about Set. He did not need to. The grievance was real enough without divine endorsement. The target was not the pharaoh. Amenken was a strategist, and strategists understand that killing a pharaoh just creates a martyr. The target was Tjenu, a trade city on the western Nile Delta, the junction point where grain shipments from the south met trading caravans from the west. Control Tjenu and you control the food supply to 3 major temple complexes. Starve the temples and Ra's infrastructure weakens. Weaken Ra's infrastructure and the golden threads fray. Set's plan, executed by a mortal hand. They hit the western gate at the 3rd watch when the garrison was at its thinnest. Amenken's veterans overwhelmed the wall guards in minutes. The gate opened. The column poured in. The garrison fought hard, but they were outnumbered and surprised. By dawn, the city was Amenken's. He held the granaries, the harbor, and the main temple of Ptah. He sent the surviving garrison soldiers home with a message for the pharaoh. Send your gods to take it back. The pharaoh sent soldiers instead. 600 of them, the elite Amun division, marching north from Thebes in golden armor, with the sun standard raised high. They arrived at Tjenu's walls 5 days later and found something unexpected. Set was not subtle. The storm above Tjenu was his signature, a contained cyclone of red lightning and black wind that shielded the city from Ra's direct gaze. Inside the storm's shadow, the golden threads that connected Tjenu's temple to Ra's network were severed. The temple of Ptah went dark. The priests inside fled. The Amun division's commander, a young officer named Qesem, who had never lost a battle, looked at the storm and made his decision. He attacked anyway. The battle for the breach lasted 3 hours. Qesem pushed through twice and was thrown back twice. Amenken fought in the gap himself, his black and bronze armor slick with blood, his khopesh carving through the golden shields of the Amun division with a precision that 30 years of warfare had burned into his muscles. On the 3rd push, Qesem broke through. The fight between them lasted seconds, but felt longer. Qesem was skilled. Amenken was desperate. The younger man's blade caught Amenken's arm and opened a gash from elbow to wrist. Amenken stumbled. Qesem raised his khopesh for the killing blow, and the storm broke. Set did not keep his promise. Amenken had believed he was the weapon, that his rebellion, his soldiers, his strategy would be enough to prove that Ra's order was fragile. But Amenken was never the weapon. He was the key. His attack on Tjenu forced the pharaoh to move the Amun division away from Thebes. His siege drew Ra's attention to the wrong city. His rebellion was a distraction, brilliantly executed, while Set's real target was somewhere else entirely. While every eye in Egypt was on Tjenu, Set had moved unseen toward the Nile's headwaters, toward the place where Ra's solar bark descended each evening into the Duat. The rebellion was noise. The general was a puppet, and the 1,200 men who died at Qesem, the men whose deaths had started all of this, were just the opening move in a game between gods who used mortal grief as a chess piece. Qesem arrested him at noon. The surviving rebels surrendered without resistance. The campaign was over in a day. Amenken was taken to Thebes in chains. The pharaoh's court sentenced him to erasure, his name removed from military records, his family stripped of title, his body denied burial rights. A death after death, but on the night before his execution, alone in a cell beneath the palace, Amenken heard the smell of ozone and copper one last time. "You used me," Amenken said. "Yes, was any of it real? The vision you showed me, the golden threads, the cost, every word was true." Set's voice carried no guilt, no apology. The system is broken. Ra's order grinds mortals into fuel. That is real. That will always be real. Then why do I feel like the fool? Because you expected a god to be better than the system he fights against. The red eyes dimmed. We are not better. We are just louder. They executed him at dawn. No priest spoke for him. No scribe recorded his name. The general who survived Qesem, who walked into the desert and came back changed, who took a city with 200 men and held it against an empire, was erased from history like a mistake wiped from a papyrus. But the golden threads he saw that night in the desert, the web that connects every temple and every prayer and every life spent feeding the divine machinery, those threads are still there, still humming, still drawing power from every farmer who tills a field and every soldier who dies on a border he was told the gods would protect. Set lost his gambit. Ra's bark still sails. The order holds. The question Amenken asked in that cell is the one that never goes away. If the system is real, and the cost is real, and the gods who run it admit they are no better than what they built, then who exactly is the fool? The man who fought it, or the millions who never tried?